Welcome to The Buzz, where we bring you leaders in dental education, discussing hot topic courses and industry trends. I'm your host, Vanessa Emerson, founder of Dental Speakers Bureau, and today I'm here with Chuck Blakeman. Welcome, Chuck.
Thanks, Vanessa. It's great to be with you.
Now, Chuck is an entrepreneur, speaker, author, and facilitator. He has built 12 businesses in 8 industries on 4 continents. That's pretty impressive, Chuck.
Well, my poor wife. That's all I can say.
Serial entrepreneur. His newest book, Rehumanizing the Dental Workplace by Giving Everybody Their Brain Back, shows dental professionals how to become a participation age company. Now, today we're going to be talking about his course that is called Rehumanizing the Dental Workplace. Tell us a little bit more about this. This is very intriguing. What's happening in the dental practice that would be a challenge that would cause someone who would want to attend this course?
Well, it's happening all across the workplace, and dentistry is one place that it's happening. We are still hanging on, even though we think we're past the factory system. We're still hanging on to what I would call the factory system in the dental workplace. We actually manage and run our practices as if they were factories. We use the exact same organizational design and operating system with managers and power titles and hierarchy and all these other things that came from slavery through serfdom, through the military, into the factories, and now we have them in dentistry. And 90+% of dental clinics are still using, dental practices are still using a factory system model for running their businesses that is highly inefficient, and most importantly, it is just plain dehumanizing.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So help us relate to how do we resolve this, and
Sure.
help me understand too, how are a little more detailed, what are we seeing specifically? Help me relate to that more.
Sure. One of my dentists, when he called me, he said, "Hey, everybody in my practice has stinking thinking." Well, what's stinking thinking? He says, "Well, they won't act unless I tell them what to do, and they just stand around, and there's nobody taking initiative." And I just said, "Who made that rule?" And he realized he and the manager had gotten used to using the factory system model, which is to manage people. And when you manage people, you tell them what to do. They become human doings, not human beings. What I had to study, what is it that makes us human? And the ability to make decisions and be creative makes us human. What makes us adult is specifically what's called agent of responsibility, or in less fancy terms, I get to make decisions. When people at work don't get to make decisions, we turn them back into codependent children. And management, the way we do it from the factory system on out into dentistry, management is, Vanessa, is nothing more and nothing less than pure, unadulterated codependence. Codependence is doing for others what they could and or should do for themselves. And that is the biggest problem in dentistry, is that we have taught, they've come by, managers have come by this honestly, but we've taught them to actually make all the decisions and tell people what to do. And then they're frustrated that nobody will actually use their brains. If you're going to make decisions for me, I'm going to get used to that. And then I'm going to actually like it. I get enough adulting to do at work. I don't want to adult I get enough adulting to do at home. I don't want to adult at work. So don't make me make decisions here. I'm buying houses and having babies and building careers. I got all these major decisions, but I don't want to make those at work. So I'm glad to just be codependent.
So thank you for that explanation. So how do we, so it sounds like this course really kind of shifts up mindsets and feels a little, this is kind of a new topic.
Yeah.
Right? I was going to say radical, but I don't mean it that way. I mean, but it's like, this is something that we don't think about or talk about enough. And what I hear you say is there's an opportunity to empower the team members so that they can be self-directed leaders, so that they can take ownership of job function.
You're so right, Vanessa. You're so right, Vanessa. This is not a new topic. What I would want to the excitement I have about dentistry, we're going to transform the way dentistry is operated. We're going to remove the old operating system of the top-down factory system hierarchy. We're going to replace it with what we call distributed decision-making teams. People who work together, who collaborate, cooperate, and communicate to make decisions. And the key element here is to turn the manager, the practice manager, into a leader. Fire them for managing. You're no longer allowed to make decisions for people. Your responsibility now is to train other people to make decisions, which is even more responsibility and even more fulfilling. Your job is to do that. This is an opportunity to turn everybody else on when we all are making decisions together, not in a vacuum and not as rugged individualists, but we're making them together. It changes everything. So the simple operating principle here is think people, not person. When you have a problem or an issue or an opportunity, the first thing we say is, well, can I get the manager to do that? Well, how about if we say, what if there's a team of 6 or 8 or 10 people, and let's figure out who would actually be the best at this, and let's get them to lead this initiative along with everybody else. So it's the idea of turning managers into leaders. Here's a stunning little fact. I've studied this. And the question is, do managers make people more productive? Because that's the assumption. We need a manager in order to make the rest of the people run. There isn't a single study out there. There's only one study that even asked the question in the last 125 years, and that is a completely flawed study. But you can find hundreds of studies that say managers make people less productive. So we've got to figure out this thing. We're putting lipstick on a pig here. We got to figure out how to remove this hierarchical view of the world and build distributed decision-making DDM teams where people make decisions together. They make better decisions, they make faster decisions, and you end up being free to actually do the things that you're good at.
So in your course, do we learn how to become a distributed
decision-making
team?
Yep.
And it is assume then that it's probably a best fit for the entire dental team, not just the practice owner.
Yeah, we teach everybody to be a leader. They lead in different ways. There are strategic leaders, like the person who used to be the manager. Now they're a strategic leader. There's tactical leaders, people who work at the front desk, and they lead in different ways. Everybody becomes a leader, and when it's really working well, there's a leadership team. We have one practice in Detroit where all 9 people are part of the leadership team, and then we have another set of practices with 7 locations where there's a leadership team of 8 people. But there's no one person who actually runs this thing. It's a wisdom of crowds approach that is, again, much faster, much more efficient, and much safer.
What other things do we learn in this course?
Well, you learn 2-step decision making. If every practice would, you don't even have to be a participation in each practice. If every practice would learn how to do 2-step decision making, you would never make a decision in a vacuum again. You would never have bad decisions being made alone. You'd still have them, but there'd be much fewer of them. It would be collaborative, cooperative, and in community. So 2-step decision making is the foundational practice of getting past the factory system and getting everybody to where they're engaged. When you tell someone at the front desk, you are actually going to have significant, if not majority input in what software you are going to have. The principle here, Vanessa, is input equals ownership. Or another way to say it, people commit to what they create. You want to know why people aren't committed to what you've created? Is because you created it for them. So let's get them involved. That's why we call it the participation age, because we want them to participate in building the processes that they have to run.
Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, it sounds very empowering. Is there anything we haven't talked about that would be important for the meeting planner to know about this topic before we go?
Yeah, I think one of the major topics going forward in business in general for the next 10 years is going to be the idea of community at work. How do we bring back what we had before the factories, where people actually bring their entire self to work, not just the part that runs the machine? And these principles, these 12 tools that we have, are all built to create community at work where we're all building relationships, because the research shows when you organize around a task, you get the task done. But when you organize as community around relationships, you get the task done better. So we're going to teach people how to build relationships at work that actually make you more money and higher profitability and retain your staff even longer.
That's awesome. And that's kind of the elephant in the room. I'm glad you mentioned that, because in order to get them to participate, they kind of have to be able to get along, right?
That's right.
Well, there you have it. For information on bringing Chuck to speak for your next meeting, visit dentalspeakersbureau.com, or you can reach out to me at info@dentalspeakersbureau.com, and I'd be happy to connect you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for being here, Chuck.
You bet. I'm glad to be here.
And until next time, be well.